Happy Friday, everybody. I'm here today with our read aloud, and I've picked a story from this book called The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And the story that I picked is called, hold on, I lost my page. Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2. One fine day in the 100-acre wood, Winnie the Pooh was sitting on a comfortable log in his thoughtful spot when his thoughts were interrupted by a sound he knew very well. Boing, boing, boing. Hello, Pooh, it's me, Tigger, exclaimed Tigger, bouncing into the thoughtful spot and bouncing Pooh right off his log. T-I-double-G-R. Spells Tigger. Yes, I know, said Pooh. You've bounced me before. Tigger jumped up and shook Pooh's hand. Well, I'd better be going now. I have a lot more bouncing to do. Nearby, Piglet was busy sweeping up outside his house. He began to hear a noise which started off smaller than Piglet himself, but quickly grew and grew. Suddenly, the noise turned into Tigger, who bounced Piglet right off his feet. Oh, Tigger, you scared me, said Piglet. I did, but I gave you one of my littlest bounces. I'm saving my biggest one for old long ears, Tigger said. He pulled up his ears as far as they would go, trying to look like Rabbit. Well, I'm glad I got one of your little bounces. Thank you, Tigger, said Piglet. He waved goodbye as Tigger bounced off down the road in the direction of Rabbit's house. There, that should do it, said Rabbit as he gathered up an armload of carrots from his garden. But then he heard a sound he knew all too well. Boing, boing, boing. Oh no, cried Rabbit. There he is with all of his carrots. But Tigger didn't stop. He bounced Rabbit right off his feet, sending the carrots flying every which way. Hello, Rabbit. It's me, Tigger, said Tigger. That's T-I-double-G-R. Oh, please, please don't spell it, moaned Rabbit, sitting up and pushing Tigger away. Oh, Tigger, won't you ever stop bouncing? Why would I? Bouncing is what Tiggers do best. Ha, 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 exclaimed Tigger, and he started to sing. Oh, the wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of rubber. Their bottoms are made out of springs. They're bouncy, trouncy, flouncy, pouncy, fun, 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 fun. But the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one. As Tigger bounced away, Rabbit stomped angrily around his garden, gathering up his scattered carrots. Something must be done about that Tigger, he said to himself. That afternoon, Rabbit invited Pooh and Piglet to a meeting at his house. I say, Tigger's getting too bouncy these days, Rabbit began. Now I've got a splendid idea. We'll take Tigger on an expedition to someplace he's never been, and then we'll lose him. Lose him, Pooh repeated. Losing someone didn't sound to him like a very friendly thing to do. Oh, we'll find him again the next morning, said Rabbit. But by then he'll be a humble Tigger, a small and sad Tigger. And oh, Rabbit, am I glad to see you, Tigger. It will take those bounces right out of him. Rabbit rubbed his hands together eagerly. The next morning crept into the 100-acre wood in a cold and misty sort of way. As Rabbit, Piglet, Pooh, and Tigger set off on their expedition, the mist was so thick that they could hardly see their feet at the end of their legs. Tigger bounced in circles around the others. He bounced ahead and came back again. Finally, he bounced off into some especially thick mist beside the trail, where he seemed to disappear. Quick, Rabbit said eagerly. Now's our chance to lose him. You can see the pictures trying to show how foggy it is. Rabbit ran into a hollow log and pulled Pooh and Piglet in behind him. Then he peeked out from inside the log and breathed a sigh of relief. Tigger was nowhere in sight. My splendid idea worked perfectly, Rabbit said with a chuckle. Now we can all go home. Pooh was very glad to hear that they were going home. Yum, 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 time for lunch, he said. Halloo, called a voice from not very far away. Oh no, it's you-know-who, cried Rabbit. Before Pooh quite knew what was happening, Rabbit had grabbed him and pulled him back inside the log. A second later, Tigger bounced onto the very log where Rabbit, Piglet, and Pooh were hiding. Halloo, he shouted to the right. Halloo, he shouted to the left. Then he leaned down and shouted, halloo, right into the log. Rabbit, Piglet, and Pooh shook all over as Tigger's shouts echoed inside, but they didn't say a word. Tigger hopped off the log and bounced away into the 100-acre wood, still calling, halloo! Rabbit jumped off the log. Hooray, he cried. We've done it. We've lost Tigger. We can go home now. There they are in their log, and Tigger's shouting. So they started off towards home. It's funny how everything looks the same in the mist, said Rabbit a few minutes later. Take this sand pit, for instance. I'm sure we've seen it before. I'm sure you're right, said Pooh agreeably. They kept walking, and in a little while they came upon the very same sand pit. Rabbit? How would it be if as soon as we're out of sight of this old pit, we try to find it again, suggested Pooh. Because you see, we keep looking for home, but we keep finding this pit. So perhaps if we looked for this pit, we might find home. I don't see much sense in that, said Rabbit. If I walked away from this pit and then walked back to it, of course I would find it again. Wait right here and I'll prove it to you. With great determination, Rabbit set off into the mist. Pooh and Piglet sat down in the sand pit to wait for him to return. You can see their trail where they've kind of been walking in circles. They waited and waited and waited. Piglet fell fast asleep, leaning against Pooh's tummy. Suddenly, he was awakened by a grumbling noise. What was that? Asked Piglet, jumping up. Why, I believe that was my tummy rumbling, said Pooh. I'm awfully hungry. I think we should go home and have lunch. Do you know the way, Pooh? Asked Piglet. Well, I have 12 pots of honey in my cupboard that my tummy very much wants to find. So we can simply follow my tummy home, Pooh exclaimed. Piglet tried to be as quiet as possible so that Pooh's tummy could concentrate. Then, just as Piglet began to know where he was, boing, 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 it was Tigger. He bounced into Pooh and Piglet, rolling them over and over again. Hello, there you two. There you two are. Where have you been? We've been trying to find our way back home, said Pooh, but we seem to have lost Rabbit somewhere in the mist, added Piglet. Leave it to me, said Tigger. I'll bounce him out of there in no time. Do you think Tigger will be able to find Rabbit and help him get home? At that very moment, Rabbit was just about as lost as a rabbit could be. He was so scared that he was trembling from the tops of his ears all the way down to the tips of his toes. Little noises that he wouldn't have even noticed on a sunny day suddenly sounded loud and frightening. Soon, Rabbit was so scared that he couldn't stand it anymore. He ran away as fast as his legs would carry him. He wasn't looking where he was going, and he ran straight into... Tigger, cried Rabbit. You're supposed to be lost. Rabbit couldn't ever remember being so happy to see Tigger before. Lost? Tiggers never get lost, said Tigger. Come on, Rabbit, let's go home. Hang on. Tigger placed his tail in Rabbit's hand, then bounced off toward home. Rabbit held on tight as he was carried along through the mist and the mud. He was now a thoroughly humiliated rabbit, a lost and found rabbit. Oh, why do these things happen to me, Rabbit? But more than anything, he was a happy to be going home rabbit. Do you think that Rabbit realized that Tigger is a good friend, even though he can be a little annoying? Have you ever had a friend like that? Somebody who's little annoying, but yet they're still a really good friend? I hope that you're nice to them. Have a great day.